Welcome in, everybody. Episode 3. I can't wait to stop counting the episodes. But right now, episode 3, Run the Damn Podcast. Rob Snyder alongside Craig Kolodny. A wild Patriots victory today over the Miami Dolphins. We had a Super Bowl rematch. We have a big injury in the league. We got some other stuff to get to. We have bottom 5 coaches. We'll start with the Patriots, who won 33-27 over the Miami Dolphins in Miami, finally. Craig, I'll let you start. What's your biggest takeaway from this game?
Yeah, Rob, it's always a good thing when the Patriots win in Miami. Feels like that never happens. So,
Yeah.
a successful day for the Patriots. My biggest takeaway has got to be Drake May, finally in command of the offense. Probably his most complete game in the NFL from start to finish. Felt like he was making the right reads, always throwing to the open guy. Some of his touchdown throws, especially the one to Booty, was one of his best throws of the day. I just think this is what the vision is: efficiency, hitting the open guy, mixing in the run game so it's not all on him, no turnovers. That's obviously the biggest takeaway for me for Sunday and for the future. How about you?
Yeah, Drake May was awesome, and I thought Josh McDaniels was awesome. And it was funny, they were running everything so game managey, but also so efficient that I don't think I realized how good of a game Drake May was having until I checked the box score. It was one of those games where it just felt like everything was going well, but like I didn't realize how good of a game May was having until I was like, oh my God, he's 18 for 21. I think that was when I finally looked at the box score for the first time, because the game was so nuts. It was so hard to look up, but that was to me, he was tremendous. And I thought the way the game was called was tremendous, and I thought the guys up front did such a good job in the run game that it really made the offense look. I think that's the offense they want to run this year, is run the ball, play off running the ball. They threw to the backs a ton. I know you mentioned the Booty touchdown. I had forgotten about it. I actually had written down earlier, like I thought Booty was kind of invisible, and then he made that play. But again, like that doesn't matter to me. It was efficient moving the ball up and down. The reads were easy. It felt like I just thought they played they called a really good game for Drake, and Drake executed it really, really well.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing too, you mentioned the offensive line. So far through 2 games, I feel like they've held up well enough. But again, I think the running game, Stevenson obviously had a dud last week, and I think everyone kind of wanted Travion Henderson to carry the load maybe a little too soon. I think it's good that, you know, they can rely on Stevenson to get that push. The offensive line was able to do their thing. On the flip side, though, the defense to me still remains a concern. Now you've had 2 games. The defensive coordinator couldn't be at one of the games. He obviously missed a lot of the training camp and preseason part in that build up. Um, I'm a little concerned, big picture, about this defense. Yeah, they're making plays. Yes, Milton Williams had a huge sack at the end of that game, which obviously that's why you pay someone like him the money that they did. Another 300-yard passer though to Tua.
I
They
know.
did it last week to Geno Smith. It just feels like there's too many holes for a unit that it felt like pretty unanimously people didn't think wouldn't struggle as much as they have so far.
Yeah, and the issues are in the back end. That's the thing that's like so concerning. Is like, I thought at times I remember thinking to myself during the game, like, I can't believe the Dolphins have 2 starting offensive linemen out, and you're not taking advantage of that. But then they finished with 5 sacks, so like I guess at times they did. Harold Landry had another like decent game. But the issues are in coverage. And that's what and I saw Carlton Davis went down at one point. They really need Christian Gonzalez back, and maybe you can tread water until that happens, and hopefully he kind of brings it all together. But they can't cover over the middle. They're getting their safeties feel like they're getting burned way too often. So it is annoying that it's all happening in the back end. I wonder if at some point Kyle Duggar gets another look. Not that he's like the best cover safety, but I wonder if they start to want to get a veteran in there. I don't know. I haven't watched the film yet, Craig,
Yes,
but
you got to watch
I
the all
wonder.
22, Rob.
I wonder how much of it is busted coverage or guys just not being in the right spot. And maybe they just need a professional out there who's just in the right spot, whether or not he's fast or. Um, but yeah, Tua looked really bad to start this game, and he just got kind of hot. He threw up a couple prayers, but like they have problems back there for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? I think a lot of this is in general, offense and defense and special teams obviously had that was talk about a crazy sequence where
Oh my god.
you're giving up the lead on a punt return touchdown in the fourth quarter, and all you're thinking is, oh my god, it feels like they've dominated a lot of this game, and now they're losing again. Um,
Yeah.
and Antonio Gibson, you know what? It's pretty good third running back to have on your roster, but
Yeah.
uh, I just feel like a lot of these games are going to be like this, where it's growing pains, learning on the fly, adjusting on the fly. And part of me, and I don't know the answer to this, but I feel like Vrabel either needs to get a little bit more involved in the defense, or I don't know if he's letting Zach Kerr and Williams, they do their thing and kind of get their footing. But I just think there's too much talent, at least on paper, defensively. And I know a lot of this is without Christian Gonzalez, but it just feels to me, Rob, like the sacks are there, but it's just too many yards. You can't be giving up that. Like, got to get a few 3-and-outs here and there and get the ball back to your offense quicker.
It's chunk plays too. That's the problem for them is it's not, when they're managing, the line of scrimmage and managing the 10 yards and in, they're not bad. It's when they go over the top, they're getting sliced and diced for big yardage, and that is killing them. It's funny, yeah. They win 33-27. The game was back and forth the whole way. It's amazing how things feel after a win today. I think one of the biggest takeaways is like the seesaw of this game. Like, imagine if they lost this game, like how awful things would feel as compared to how well they feel now.
Yeah, it's true, and winning cures everything, obviously, and look, maybe there's something to be said for not quitting when Antonio Gibson picking up this team tremendously, and obviously the 10 guys in front of him blocking, but it felt like it just had that feeling of here we go again. Like
Yeah,
this is what happens in Miami when the Patriots play down there, and to be able to have that play and then kind of finish off the game with Mapu's interception, and then obviously we talked about the Milton Williams sack. Just felt like something you felt like until the Williams sack, you felt like something was going to go wrong, and I think that's
yeah,
what Vrabel's here to do is kind of turn that culture, at least point the arrow in the other direction of um, of getting that winning culture back. And I think you saw a team that was together today, even
yeah.
through some of the harder times. The one thing that I do want to harp on with, because it always comes up with coaching, they had 12 penalties, Rob, for
Again,
75
yeah,
yards. Like
yeah,
this is you want to talk about, Vrabel said in his introductory, we can't win until prevent ourselves from losing, or I'm paraphrasing there, but
yeah.
you can't you can't expect it. There's very few NFL teams that they could have done this to today and found a win.
Wasn't
Miami's
there
just that bad.
again? I feel like the game was forever ago for me. But
Sure.
wasn't there another fourth down that they were going to go for it and they false started? Didn't Morgan
That,
Moses false start on a 4th and 2?
I'm
And then
not
and
sure if
then
it was.
Borregales kicked the 54-yarder. That was the one he kicked because
Yeah.
they were gonna go for it there, and it was 4th and 2, and Moses
Yes.
false start. So, like, that's situations, it's like, it's not just a pre-snap penalty, which they've had a lot of, but in,
Right.
like, the worst possible time and the worst part of the field, like, you can't do that there. Luckily, that was the kick he made. We're gonna get to him. We'll get to him in a second
Yeah.
because I
Yes.
got thoughts on him. One other positive, we there's a running, theme for but we're only 3 episodes in. There's a running theme on our podcast, which is we say something, and then 1 week later, we were dead wrong about it. Ramondre Stevenson was awesome today. He was
Hmm.
awesome, and I labeled him completely cooked last week. I thought he ran so much, but he was so much like a jitterbug today. And then the catch on that ball from May. I mean, it was
Yeah.
a
The wheel
good
route.
it's a good throw, but a really hard catch for a running back to make that arm straight out over the shoulder. Like, he had the one wheel route to Trayvon Henderson. That's what you usually see where they kind of hold up a second, hits him in the numbers, and they get going. But that pass to Stevenson, I mean, he let him out there like a receiver, and Stevenson caught that like a receiver. I thought he was tremendous today.
Yeah, yeah, he was, and he's somebody that again, like we had talked about him last week, and this is why I mean we've seen it for years now with the running back position. Going back feels like almost 15 years now. Is the multiple backs rotating in and out? You're not relying on that Emmett Smith or Barry Sanders type that's just carrying the load. Every down. he looked fresh, and obviously he didn't really touch the ball a lot in week 1. Um, and I do think a lot of this, honestly, is the Miami defense. I would not expect this to, Miami didn't force Indianapolis to punt a week ago, and while Indy's 2-0 and looking much improved, I want to see this offense and Stevenson in particular do it against other teams. But you know what? I'm not going to complain about it. He had easily one of his most productive games in a long time, so we'll take it.
Yeah, in early season NFL, it's all about surviving and advancing until you develop who you are and the other teams develop who they are. You never take a win for granted this early in the season for sure.
I do have one other offensive thought, if I can. That
Go for it.
that
Yes,
I
of course.
I haven't seen the full numbers for the snap counts, but a lot of the 3 wide receiver sets that they had today didn't include Pop Douglas. It looked like there's a lot of Booty, Hollins, and Diggs,
Yeah.
and I think, well, I like that they're trying that because I don't know if Douglas again. I'm down on Demario Douglas. I think
Yeah.
he's
He'll have a huge week next week.
sure fine, and
because of
you're welcome.
us.
You're welcome. I think people forget that because he's been their de facto best receiver the last couple of years. He's a 6th-round pick from a small school that, you know, little shifty, but I don't really think he fully gets how to sit in zone defense and how to like do that slot role. And I think they're using Diggs more in that kind of scenario where he's on
Yeah.
the inside and he kind of has that knowledge of where he's supposed to go and what he's supposed to do. I like that they changed that up a little bit. I think it's a small thing, but I don't want them to just play Douglas because he was their leading receiver the last couple of years.
Yeah, and Diggs knows how to play that position. He
Right.
had a route. There was a route really early in the game. You know what it was? It was the 4th down conversion they had on their
Yeah, on
first
the first
drive,
drive. Yep.
where Diggs kind of. At first, I thought because I had my eye on Diggs to start that snap. I don't know why, but I was like, oh, he's not running this route hard at all, and he was selling that he was blocking, and then he just snuck into that gap and got open. And I
Yep.
was like, oh, that's actually a veteran play because I'm sitting there watching TV thinking, what the hell is Diggs doing on this route? And then he boom turns around and gets the ball. So I agree. I'd play him there. And Matt Collins showed me a little bit today, unlike last week. So I'm all for it. They don't seem to want to throw Efton Chisholm out there, which is fine. I don't want to like jump on the bandwagon of like, hey, you don't want to play this 6th round guy from a small school. Let's play the other 6th round guy or the
Yeah.
undrafted guy from a small school. So like I get it, that he's not out there, but yeah, I put the guys who are performing out there, and you can easily move Diggs inside. That's one good thing about him is he's versatile amongst other things about him.
Yeah, and they have a bunch of receivers that are all 2s and 3s. So it's like if one isn't playing well, you put the other one in. It's not, it doesn't really affect anything. And Kyle Williams, obviously, you would love to see him get in there. I'm sure we'll see more from him later in the year.
Yeah. Real quick before we kill the kicker.
Yes.
Robert Spillane, tough day.
Yeah, he's been one of the more disappointing. I think the linebackers in general, him and obviously Ellis. But I wonder if Spillane was the beneficiary of some other players in Oakland or in Las Vegas. And I'm not sure, Crosby and others are enough, but I haven't been overly impressed with him. But he's a guy that hustles. He's a guy that's out there. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, he has not been out of all their off-season signings. He's probably been at least through 2 games. Probably hasn't popped as much as Carlton Davis has had some good plays. He had helped with the pick last week. Obviously, Williams had 2 sacks today. So
Yeah.
yeah, and Landry's had a couple good games. So yeah, I'm with you. Spillane would be on that list of and
Yeah. They picked on him too. You don't want to have to cover, Devin Achan out of the backfield very often, but he
yeah,
killed him on those like Texas routes during this game.
right.
All right. Let's get to the matter at hand. 33-27 win. The quarterback was fantastic. Dude, what is Andy Borregales doing out here? Like, why?
Cut him, get him
Yeah,
out of here.
I
I've
think
seen
I think
enough.
I know it sounds like an overreaction, but I think if you have a rookie kicker and he can't make the kicks, you have to immediately replace him.
And
I just he missed them both extra points. He missed the same way. I know he kicked the 54-yarder. I was happy for him to make the 54-yarder. It was a good kick, but like the Falcons got rid of Younghoe Koo and signed Parker Romo,
let's sign Koo.
who won the competition, but isn't the kicker because he wasn't the draft pick, which this is going to be the third time in 6 years that the Pats draft a kicker and he's no good. So I've said it a million times. It's just like fantasy football. Never draft a kicker. Just
Yep.
don't do it. Pick him up after the fact. Don't waste a pick on him. And here he is out. I mean, what is it? 3 or 4 kicks now in 2 games.
So he missed the 2 extra points. He missed the field goal last week.
Okay,
He
so
missed the
it's
field.
3
Yeah.
3 missed
It,
kicks in 2 games.
and also here's the other thing, Rob, that I know obviously you know well. He's had perfect conditions in both games. You think he's going to start hitting 40-yarders when it's raining and snowing and
Yeah,
windy? Like, come on.
yeah.
I've seen enough.
It's 1,000 degrees and
Yeah.
there's no wind.
And
Yeah.
that's a field that he kicked on in college.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
But we knew this at the outset when he won the competition, even though the other guy was better. There's definitely going to be some kickers in for workouts starting on Monday or Tuesday. That's
There's a
just how,
there's a
how it
Joey
goes.
Sly. There's got to be a Joey Sly out there or somebody,
Yeah.
something. Um,
And they now have what? How many? So Joey Sly's a kicker in the NFL. Nick Folk's a kicker in the NFL. Chad Ryland's a kicker in the NFL. Who am I missing? John
uh,
Parker Romo, now
yeah.
kicker in the NFL. So
Yeah.
they have 4 ex kickers currently kicking for 1/8 of the NFL teams,
Yeah.
but their kicker, look, they're going to stick with him because they drafted him. That's just the reality of it. But I do think there's definitely going to be some bodies in here to kind of put him on notice.
I just feel like it's one of those things where, like, if you don't have it, like, you can't be like, oh well, we drafted this guy, so like we have to. There's no like developing the confidence to. Like, I don't know. I would move on sooner than later. I just think it's like one of those things where it's like, we made a mistake. Like you don't mess around with kicker, especially if you're the Patriots. You're not going to be blowing teams out. You're going to need those points. So I wouldn't like hang on there and try to like keep the kicker around.
Do you have any more Pats topics, or can I bring up one more that is just
You
fun in
got it.
nature?
You got it.
If you're exhausted with today's game, I do want to ask you: do you have a favorite Jalen Polk memory? Because this is an incredible feat. Just to summarize what happened to him.
My
Sec-
favorite
Go ahead.
Jalen Polk memory is when he claimed that he had the best hands in the league.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that
I because here's the thing, he never made a play. Now we have I've seen many a B-roll of Jalen Polk drops,
it's a good
and
B-roll.
like none of them were like ones where I'm like, oh, like it hits him in the face or something. But I still remember him saying that he had the best hands in the league, and it was like, okay, doesn't get it. But I loved it. I will always take a quote like that. Thank you,
Well,
Jalen Polk.
it matches fellow rookie receiver a year ago when Javon Baker said he was going to get people in wheelchairs out of their seats. So, I mean, between the two of them, it's really impressive that they combined to finish, I think, with like 14 catches in their Patriots career, which is just
Yeah,
remarkable. But just to summarize how bad this is, and let alone the Lad McConkey, Tarheeb Steele graphic that we've all seen, where it's like they could have
yeah,
just
a
had these
million
two guys,
times.
whatever.
Yeah,
Fine. They traded a receiver who's out for the season to a team that you predict is going to have less than 5 wins
yeah, and they
in
will.
the Saints, and they will. They traded him away along with a 7th round pick for a 6th round pick. It's just crazy that a 2nd round pick who has played one season, that
Yeah,
they clearly know that he was a mess and it was never going to get better. The fact that, I don't know, I think it's actually kind of impressive that they got a 6th round pick for him, because there were some people that were thinking he was just going to get cut in camp. And I know they had to give up a 7th to get a 6th, but you know what? They got a draft pick for him, and that's pretty incredible.
yeah, yeah. I'm surprised he got traded. I don't know if the Saints thought that maybe at the end of the year I don't really know. I mean, I get like trading for a guy when he has like a couple years left on his rookie deal, whatever. I just don't
Yeah.
really know why the Saints felt they had to do it now. But if you're the Pats, obviously get it done because he's not long for here. I think the pressure's on the development of Kyle Williams now. You can't keep screwing this up. So
Yeah.
Kyle Williams hasn't been like like Jalen Polk last year was egregious. They were trying to start him and he like couldn't figure out where to be. So Kyle Williams at least feels like he's like adequate in the like I know where I'm supposed to go and what my route is supposed to be department. So hopefully he just they don't need
Sure.
to lean on him. Look,
You have other
Keyshawn
bodies
Booty's
in the
having
room.
a nice start to the season. Stephon Diggs is obviously here,
Yep.
and Matt Collins is a professional. So like you're not putting the pressure on Kyle Williams where he has to be out there. So like him going unnoticed is fine as long as he's developing behind the scenes because you don't want you just can't keep doing that.
I'm curious how the Pats and Saints even bring it. Like, are the Saints calling the Patriots? Clearly, the Patriots are calling. Clearly, the Patriots are calling the Saints and saying like, "Hey, we're trying to, we're trying to get this guy a new home." Like the Saints aren't calling in week 2 and being like, "Hey, I wonder if Jalen Polk's available today."
It's a great question. That honestly, like when like Schefter tweets out like, "Oh, this guy signed," and like, "Here's the agent that got the deal done."
Yep, out on that.
Instead, tell me when there's a trade, which team called the other team first.
I
That's
love
that's
it.
the information that I need from behind the scenes. Is
I,
tell me who did this because there's
yeah,
more player for player trades happening now in the league than there used to be.
yeah,
So I want to know who's calling who.
yeah.
Uh, are you out? Are you done with
No,
past
yeah,
topics?
I was saving Jalen Polk to the end, and we already spent more time than I was hoping, but it was worth it.
Totally fine.
It was worth it last time.
So there was it was not the most interesting game on the slate, but there was a Super Bowl rematch today. The Chiefs have now lost 3 in a row for the first time in the Patrick Mahomes era, although one of them was a playoff game, so I don't know how much you put into that. They are 0-2 on the season, which is kind of cool, kind of fun. Chiefs are in trouble, maybe, maybe not. We'll see. And the Eagles are 2-0. They beat the Chiefs 20-17 in a defensive battle. Surprisingly clean defensive battle, but a defensive battle at that. What is your lead takeaway from just the Chiefs falling to 0-2?
I think it's just that, honestly. I think it's, the game really changed, I think, when Kelsey dropped what could have been a touchdown pass and ends up as an interception for the Eagles. And I think for the Chiefs to be 0-2, we had talked about it when we started the podcast, how I felt the Chiefs would be under 11 and a half wins this year. I think they are, um, you started to see it a lot last year. Their record really, in my opinion, I think you agree with me, their record was not that, their record was good, but their play didn't really, indicate that. I think they won a lot of games that they really had no business winning. And I think their schedule is just hard this year. I think they have a lot of tough teams, tough divisional, obviously divisional games, um, and then tough interconference games as well. I think the biggest thing is that Tyquan Thornton is catching their only touchdown pass today. I mean
Yeah.
they they are short on weapons, especially with Rice out for 6 games. I don't know how much he'll be able to save the day when he gets back. I think we've talked about Kelsey being on his last legs.
Yeah, Worthy
Um,
was hurt. Worthy didn't play today.
Worthy's out. It
Yeah.
just just feels like it's going to be a down year for them. And again, I want to be clear: down year does not mean that they go 5-12. I think
Yeah.
a down year for them means that they are 11-6, somewhere in that ballpark. And I don't know if that's good enough to win the division. I don't think it will be, but we'll see. I just think the Eagles clearly, in my opinion, best team in football, best team in the NFC, whatever. I think this is more about the Chiefs and that 0-2 start and just kind of, oh my God, like this is tough sledding right now.
Yeah, they and the Chiefs are now 0-2 on the season, 0-2 in one score games, which they were I think 7-0 last year.
Yep.
Uh two takeaways from this: Patrick Mahomes has now carried the Chiefs offense in 2 halves this year by scrambling.
Hmm.
Which is just not a sustainable way for that team to win. So
Nope.
that is a problem. The other thing is on the other side of the this matchup, Nick Sirianni is going to start needing some flowers given him. He's now 11-2 combined against Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, and Dan Campbell. Both losses actually came to Andy Reid. One was in his first year, and the other was in a Super Bowl. He is Craig. You ready for this stat?
I'm ready.
Nick Sirianni's 50-20 as a head coach.
It's pretty
The
good.
best win percentages in NFL history for a head coach, modern era. 1, John Madden, 759 win percentage. 2, Vince Lombardi, 738 win percentage. 3, Nick Sirianni, 714 win percentage. He passed George Allen today. So, do I think he's one of the greatest coaches of all time? Probably not. But is he one of the best coaches in the NFL today? Absolutely. And I think it's starting to show. They do not make mistakes very often. I mean, the penalties happen in games, but they don't turn the ball over. They're really good at turning other teams over. They do whatever it takes to win. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't particularly beautiful offensively today. It was a grind. The Chiefs were really good defensively today, but I'll tell you what, they have their number. They were the better team defensively. They were awesome, and I just think that's as the season goes along, if either you think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback or you think Nick Sirianni is a top 5 head coach, they're not winning with both of those guys not being either of those things.
Yeah, I think they have a loaded roster. I think Sirianni is the beneficiary of having talent across the board. I think uh, the Howie Roseman does a fantastic job of making moves that other GMs won't make. I think one of the biggest things that was Sirianni. You mentioned the record and the win percentage and etc. We talked a lot, or we've talked a lot before about how the Lions lost both coordinators in Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson this year, and how much that would fall on Dan Campbell. And obviously, we saw a different result on Sunday. But Eagles lost. Was it Jonathan Gannon and Chance Steichen? Were the two
Uh,
coordinators a couple years?
yes,
Yeah, a couple years
yeah,
ago. But that's my point, is that there's been no drop off. A lot of teams, they lose the coordinators, and I think that's a reflection of Sirianni. Uh, no one will ever forget his introductory press conference, obviously,
yeah.
when he was introduced as the Eagles head coach, and everyone was like, "What the heck's happening?" But yeah,
He couldn't
he
talk. Yeah,
he's definitely a top 5 head coach. I mean, you can't win a Super Bowl, be in another one, be leading the one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, he's definitely in there. Hurts is, I mean, I don't even know if Hurts is like a real person.
he's
He
just a
shows
winner.
no
Yeah,
emotion. But you know what? I'm an old school guy. I kind of love it. I love that he just does his thing, and like I don't need like crazy celebrations. I'm old school like that.
you know what Hurts is? Hurts is, and you'll appreciate this analogy a lot.
Yeah.
Hurts is what NBA fans think Jimmy Butler is.
Yeah, I'm always down for a cross sport reference and analogy. I do think Jalen Hurts is um somebody that just, I feel like he plays big in the biggest moments. I don't think he gets concerned about going to Arrowhead or anything like that. And clearly, again, the Eagles didn't play their best game today. But I think Hurts is somebody that is a top 5 quarterback. I mean, some of these guys that have, maybe next week we'll do a top 5. We'll do the coaches this week. Maybe next week we'll do a top 5 quarterbacks, because there's definitely
You're good.
there's definitely something that to be said for him being in that top 5. And again, gotta kind of map it out, but he's up there.
Yeah, you just built in my segue. Speaking of top 5 quarterbacks,
Sure.
the NFL lost one today. Joe Burrow with a turf toe injury, they're calling it, might need surgery. He was apparently on crutches with a boot after the game. Surgery would be 3 months on the shelf,
Oof.
which it's a shame. Great quarterback, super cool dude. Injury prone, maybe it's
Maybe.
starting to creep up a little bit. I know people don't like to, pick on guys that they like, but he might be. But this changes. This is this relates to the Pats. Jake Browning is not, you know, he's walking through that door, but he ain't he ain't bringing the
He,
Bengals through that door.
he ain't
So
bringing W's with him.
yeah, they did win that game though.
Sure, they're 2
Um,
and out. Give him
yeah,
that's you
but
know
I question whether or not Jake Browning is going to, that's a situation where all of a sudden the Bengals start dropping down the standings.
Yeah, and I think Browning is somebody that at least has played for them before, so he's filled in. But the Burrow injury is huge, Rob. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a team that, at least for me, I had as a playoff team, and I'm not going to change my pick because Burrow's out. Who knows how it'll play out? Obviously, it will have an asterisk for me if they don't make it, because I made the prediction based on Burrow being
Yeah.
healthy. Which, fine, guys get hurt. Is he injury prone? Maybe. I think the bigger thing to me, going big picture, yes, it obviously will help the Patriots as a team. You assume the Ravens are going to win that division, but the the bigger thing to me it kind of goes back to when you get to a Super Bowl, you really got to make it count because now Burrow's what 4 years removed from being in the Super Bowl, and they were very close to winning that game against the Rams, and you can make a case that they should have won that game against the Rams. And I think you don't know when you're going to get back to these games. Like you look at these
Yeah.
AFC quarterbacks, and we talked about the Chiefs' struggle so far. It definitely has that feel of like somebody else is going to break through. It's still September, and September is when you got to stay in the race. You can't fall out of it. But the Burrow, Jackson, Allen in the AFC, it's like one of these guys has to break through, and it's just like Burrow's now, you know, not getting up there, but it's like I'm with you with the injuries. It's like you can't. You have Higgins, you have Chase, you have Burrow. Like that's supposed to be your triplets kind of thing, and going
Yeah.
forward, and it just feels like I don't know if he's injury prone, but it's like that's a tough injury, a turf toe. Like usually quarterbacks that doesn't happen to them.
I don't know what it is. I've never experienced turf toe. They make it sound like such a wuss injury. I'm sure it kills,
Oh yeah,
but it just turf toe. Come up with a better name for turf toe. We need to call it something stronger
give
and
it like a plantar
rougher.
fasciitis.
Give me something medical. Give me
Yeah, get deep on the medical playbook.
if we're calling cuts lacerations, we
Yeah.
need to call turf toe something cool because turf toe is just no.
Was it Clay
Um,
Buchholz years ago that had the avulsion? Remember somebody had an avulsion. I'm like,
yeah, give me an avulsion. Yeah,
what
John
the
Farrell
hell's an
probably called it.
avulsion?
That sounds like a John Farrell thing.
Yeah, shout out
Uh,
John Farrell wherever you
yeah,
are.
he's lobster man. He's lobster man now.
You know what?
Uh,
Things work out.
so do you have any other? I have one more NFL take, but
Yeah.
as far as like individual games are concerned, do you have any other individual thoughts? Jets back to who they thought they were. Steelers next game up for the Pats, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think this is looking good for the Pats schedule. I think they, with the Steelers coming up, I think that's a very winnable game, and more coming down the road as well. If you look at their schedule, you can do that on your own time. But I think the Colts 2-0. They won in controversial fashion on Sunday with a leverage penalty, which that that feels it almost feels like the refs had the Colts or something. It just feels of that ilk. Oh yeah, what are we gonna call? Let's call leverage now. It's like letting guys play at the end of a basketball game. It's like you got to let them play a little bit. I think that's kind of a dog shit penalty. But Colts are 2-0. Daniel Jones is playing well for them. I think they're definitely a team that might. They were a 500 team a year ago. If they get better quarterback play, which they've gotten so far, I think they could actually be in playoff contention. How about you?
It's a good point. So mine is not on any individual game. It's something I saw across the league today, and I'm getting pretty sick of it. They're juicing the hell out of the kicking balls,
Oh yeah,
and I I know it's a different ball and it's a little bit more overinflated, but like they're changing. Something's happening. You can't have like I'm cool with like it used to be cool when a guy lines up for like a 55 yarder and has the leg for it, and usually the dude with the X behind the field goal catches it because it just goes over the crossbar and yippee across the league. You know how many 54 plus yarders were just drilling like halfway up to the top of the net?
yeah.
Like that's come on, that's ridiculous. I know it's warmer outside, so the ball travels better. And I love Brandon Aubrey. I think Brandon Aubrey makes any kick anyway. But like, Borregales' 54 yarder smashed the net.
Yep.
There were a couple 58 yarders in another game, ball smashing the net, 60 yarders hitting the net. Like, I don't need the ball. I don't think anybody wants the ball to be juiced. Like,
No.
I want, first of all, I want coaches to have to make the decision. I don't want it to be like, oh, what is it from 59 here? All
Yeah.
right, field goal unit. Like, no, that should either be a pooch punt or you got to make the decision.
Yeah.
Not this like confidently, like, oh yeah, go out there like 15th best kicker in the league and go bang a 60 yarder for us. Like, I don't want that. I don't think anybody in the league wants that. I love the new kickoff rule. I love
Oh yeah.
returns.
It's great.
The next rule they have to do is unjuice that kicking ball, man. That is getting out of control.
Yeah, I think the kicking in general is just now it used to be, oh, the target line's the 30-yard line to kick a field goal. Now it's like, well, we start with the ball on the 35 and they really have to get 20 yards for our kicker to even to have a chance at it. I just think it's too easy. It's the it kind of, I know this wasn't what started it, but it kind of reminds me of the whole Chiefs 13 seconds against the Bills thing. It's like, well, you start it here, you make 2 plays, and you're kicking a field goal. It's like it should
Yeah.
be a little bit harder to get to that point where like down by 3 with 20 seconds shouldn't feel like, oh, well, there's a 50-50 chance they might get this. I don't know. It just, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It feels a bit much.
I mean, as soon as the ball's off a foot, if it's going straight, you assume it's good. And
Right.
I miss the days of the ball being in the air thinking like, "Oh," and then it, like, lands, and you think it's good, but then they give you the no because it was short, like, that doesn't happen anymore. We need that
Yeah.
back. We're gonna get to the point where the Cowboys are gonna only need to get to the opponent their own 48,
Right.
like, that's ridiculous. Is it time? Have we
Oh, it's time.
reached the
It's time.
time?
Best segment we've ever done. Here it comes.
Bottom 5 coaches for people that don't know. We used to do this at work back in the day where we would come in, one of us would just get super angry about some dumb decision a coach made, and then we would just start listing our bottom 5 coaches. We get real angry. We'd give like a sentence on each. So would you like to do us the honors of going first here?
It would be my pleasure. So it is early in the year, and I will go through 5 through 1 because
Oh
I
yeah,
think
these
we're
change
gonna have,
weekly.
yeah, these will change weekly. We're gonna have a lot of similarities, I'm guessing. But
Yeah.
here we go. Number 5. I got Kevin Stefanski, and you're just going to. That's fine. I know you've won a couple Coach of the Years, but your team stinks. Your team stinks. And
Yeah.
again, it's early. We haven't seen enough coaching change, coaching failures yet. There's also a couple Monday night games that I'm sure there will be something that we'll be talking about next week. Number 4, Brian Callahan. I had to Google who the
Okay.
Titans coach was, but the last year they were, and I know it's a this year problem.
Oh my
They're minus
god.
22 in 2 games this year. They're fighting fine. They were outscored by 149 points a year ago. That means they lost every game by an average of 9 points.
That's
And
bad.
just a reminder, they did beat the Patriots last year. But
That's true.
number 3, Mike McDaniel. I love him, but it's like, God, I it's it's hard to see a team quit more than the Dolphins have. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't give up 33 points to the Patriots. You just can't. He's definitely going to be in the hot seat. His defensive coordinator is probably going to get fired.
Yeah.
Number 2. Thank you, number 2. Dave Canales.
All right.
Yes, I had the Panthers winning the NFC South, and I'm not going to back off that yet. Fine, whatever. Probably not going to happen. Did you know? This is a fun fact that I'm not sure many people know because it's the Panthers and not many people talk about them.
Well.
They lost to the Jaguars last week.
Yep.
They lost to Arizona on Sunday. You know, in both games, they were down 20-3 at halftime.
Oh god.
Both games. So, hey
Uncompetitive.
guys, we're going to get them this week. This is our week.
Yeah.
Wait, it's 20-3 at halftime. It's like, well, the game's over. It's cute you make comebacks, but like whatever. You're down by 17 at halftime. It's going to be hard to win. And then number 1, it's Ben Johnson. You can't, which is crazy because he was the most sought after coach. It makes no sense. But hey, listen, 8 days ago, they were up at halftime and they were like kings of the NFC North. They were
Yeah.
crushing the Vikings. JJ McCarthy didn't know which way was, going forward. It's incredible. And then they gag it away against the Vikings, and then they get absolutely destroyed by the Lions today against the Lions team that he talked shit about in the offseason, saying like, oh, we're coming after everybody, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, the Lions are like, go F off, like 50-plus points again. Bears absolutely embarrassed. What did I write down? They're minus 34 now on the season. Again, Caleb Williams was dancing and flexing and whatever at halftime on Monday Night Football a week ago, and now they're 0-2, and they just look like garbage.
I
So
love it. I can't believe
Ben
he's your number
Johnson's
one.
my
That's
number
awesome.
1. I will say this. Vrabel, my initial list had Vrabel, and then I found worse coaches. I don't like how Vrabel has all the penalties on this team, but it is what it is. We'll keep him off for now. But new guys come on and off every week. So, Kevin Stefanski, there's hope you're not on this list next week.
My number 5 is Brian Callahan. I also had to Google the Titans.
Shout out Google.
I felt bad putting him on the list just because he's got a rookie quarterback, and like I didn't expect them to win their first 2 games.
Right.
But there's actually like a lot of teams that are like playing a little bit beyond what I thought they would. So I kind of have him there as default. 4, I have Ben Johnson. I didn't think you'd have him on the list.
He's on the list.
I thought, him getting crushed today is one thing. The decision at the end of the Vikings game to not kick the onside kick and instead kick off into the end zone to try to get them to touch back when it was obvious. It's like, just take it out.
Right.
Like that's not how, like, dude, use the onside kick there. You're desperate. You need the ball back. Like
Yep.
that I thought was, that decision on its own is ridiculous. 3, I have Dave Canales, for a lot of the reasons you have. I just think, like, if you're gonna look as, like, solid as you did at the end of last season, you gotta be able to carry that over. Bryce
Yep.
Young looks terrible again. He's an offensive head coach. His whole job is to develop that quarterback, and it already looks like Bryce Young is back to how we thought about him the first, like, 9 games last year, so
Yep.
that's disappointing.
Yep.
Number 2, and again, this is kind of unfair based on the situation, but again, I don't think he is an NFL head coach, so I'm putting him as one of the bottom coaches by default, is Kellen Moore.
Yep.
I just don't think he's an NFL head coach. I've never thought he has the pedigree or the ability to take over a room in his life. So, should the Saints be winning any games? No. Is Kellen Moore an NFL head coach? Also, no. The only reason I don't have him number 1 is because I have Mike McDaniel number 1. I think the number 1 job of a head coach in the NFL, it's not scheme, it's not what side of the ball you do, it is have control of the locker room, number 1. Mike McDaniel does not have that. He
Yep.
simply doesn't. And I don't know if you saw his press conferences this week, all he did was bury his own players. He threw every player that made a mistake in that first game under the bus, did not take, like, I don't think he has the people skills. I think he is, when they're winning, his goofy thing is kind of funny and kind of adorable. But when they're losing, no, I don't think he has it. I think it's, no one listens to him.
Yeah. Well, it's also just it's one of those things where you have to, it's some of these offensive minds like McDaniel, and we'll see it play out with Ben Johnson a little bit. Sometimes the better head coaches are the ones that are just the leader, and maybe Vrabel's going to turn into that here. Obviously, he had some levels of success in Tennessee, but it's that coach who can command the room and lead the team and let the coordinators kind of be the magicians of their side of the ball. I I think McDaniel, I'm with you. He's kind of run its course. I mean, they had a players meeting or like
After week
you
1.
can't you can't have a players meeting after the first game of the season. That just can't
No.
happen. I mean, McDaniel's not long for Miami. Um, I like your list. I think the Saints have been competitive. I know they're playing Spencer Rattler at quarterback. They haven't embarrassed themselves, so I spared Kellen Moore off my list, but um, there's some guys I'm watching. I see
Yeah.
you. I see you, Aaron Glenn. I see
I
you.
don't I
There's
almost had Brian Daboll on my list too, but,
Dayball's another one.
uh,
Dayball's gonna save himself if he can just go to Jackson Dart. Look, I know Russell Wilson played well enough today, but he also threw a lollipop interception at the end, and I know that's the quarterback. That's not necessarily Dayball's fault, but
yeah.
I think Dayball's nearing the end of his time in New York.
Yeah, I think he is too. Um, by the way, with all this Mike McDaniel talk, just thank God the Patriots won that game. Again, like, we're talking about Mike McDaniel, like he's the worst coach in the entire history of the universe, and they
They
just needed to win that game.
they eked out a win. They
Yeah.
finally beat Tua though. It's like let's throw a party. They finally
Yeah.
beat Tua. I mean, Tua's had their number forever. You know what? There haven't been very many wins for the Patriots the last few years. So when they win, you don't really find that many flaws. I think we talked about some of the things they need to clean up. And look, I think they will get better as the season goes on. But for now, it's really just getting some wins and staying in the race. Like don't
Yeah.
don't end the season in September.
I agree. All right. Well, I watched American Pie 2 last night, so I will end the podcast today this way by saying, just wanted to say goodbye to you animals.
Have a good
And
summer out
we
there.
will we will end the damn podcast. Craig, great to see you again. Great to talk to you, and I will see you again next week for episode 4 of Run the Damn Podcast.
Good night.